emergency. You have another set of articles from the last 3 days. The story is pretty much the same. You can go through them, but after a point, it's merely like a post-independent history explanation from various stakeholders' point of view: journalists, lawyers, politicians, opposition, etc., etc. Just go through them, because this is one episode that is probably not covered well in static textbooks. So you can go through, but don't try to take down notes. Make it very how do I put it? Minute level, granular level analysis of this events from different point of view is not that important. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Today's Hindu editorials are not that not that important or not that specific for the exam's purpose. Even in Indian Express, the list of articles that we've seen are more or less already covered, but I will give you some specific directions for different subjects so that you start thinking on those lines. So the line of thought we will be applying in these articles will be important for you. Okay. Now, let's start with this. For now, a reprieve. So, what is happening? Across the world, many events are happening simultaneously which will affect stock markets. Market economy. What is a market? Can anyone tell me what is a market? Market is a place where you connect a seller and a buyer, no matter what that commodity is. In stocks, you have stocks being exchanged, sold and bought. Any marketplace which is globally connected and which is dynamic and real time will respond to global events. And you have to remember that markets don't respond to global events only. They also respond to certain expectations. Okay? And these expectations will always be aligned towards long-term stability and trust. So this is the line of thought that I want you to have, because whenever you want to arrive at a stable solution, a long-term solution, your end game strategy, I'm trying to use the same keywords again and again so that it is very natural to you. Your end game strategy in international relations, when you want to fix your markets, should always try and aim to create this stable system so that you build trust. Take a look at how the President of the United States is dealing with the situation. There is no stability. There is no policy stability at all, and it is purely a negotiation driven diplomacy. And this is not going to create any element of trust or long-term stability for either of the parties. No matter which parties are involved in that, one is US and the other one, whoever it is, no matter how developed the world is, that long-term stability is a myth, because there is no element of predictability that is coming in. Clear? This is the takeaway from that article. The temporary respite or the temporary relief that markets got, either from the West Asia conflict de-escalation or how Donald Trump allowed the relaxation of certain tariffs. Both these two events created a temporary respite, but for the long term, the instability and the trust that again tensions will not flare up in West Asia, again Mr. Trump is not going to impose tariffs, that is not there for the markets. So obviously there will not be any trust in the market, right? That is the line of thought that I wanted to encourage for you from this article. This article, see, there is a common university entrance test. The objective of any common entrance test is to create a uniform structure. See, if you have to take hundreds of exams for hundreds of colleges, it is logistically very challenging for the student and also not economically viable. The problem with this method, according to DU, is that DU is losing autonomy. Delhi University thinks that it has certain legacy to live up to, and it wants to select students not just based on marks but also on other parameters. So it is trying to add some more caveats or some more parameters for selection, which again defies the whole purpose of CUET. So the conflict here is whether we should have uniformity or we should give uniformity versus autonomy. Why am I talking about this? I'll give a brief background. In your GS4 ethics, there is the first chapter called human values. Okay. When you're reading this, anyway, in GS4, when you're reading this topic of ethics, you have human values. See, I want you guys to understand how you should be using your current affairs for ethics also. Usually this is not done by any of the aspirants, but I want you to train your mind right from the word go on this kind of issues. Human values. Values means there are multiple definitions in your textbooks. In simple words, value means something that we prefer. Values means, simply put, your preferences. If you decide that this is a preferable value, this is not a preferable value, it means that you don't want something or you want something. That judgment can come from your moral systems. Moral systems means anything that you must have picked. It's like a lens. Okay, just like how your specs give you clarity on, if the vision is blurred, you go to a doctor, take a specs, it gives you clarity in your vision. Morality for an individual is just like that lens. It makes a value preferable or not so preferable. Two only. Okay, preferable or not so preferable. So what are the values that you will prefer? What is your preference? That will decide your value system. It will define you as an individual. The difference between values, morals and ethics. A value is a preference. Moral principles are your own principles. Need not be accepted by society. Okay? If entire society accepts that, see, this is how it is. This is ethics. This is your moral system. So there can be an overlap between ethics and your morality. Just conceptual understanding of ethics. This is the first chapter of ethics. Okay? Values, morals and ethics. Clear, everyone? Values are your preferences. Morals are the lens through which you say this is good, this is bad. For example, if you want money, it's a preference. I don't want to earn money by cheating other people. I don't care about the method. I just want money. These two options are available for you. how you view your money source, or how you want to achieve that, will define your moral system. Your moral system will reflect your value system. Okay, but if the entire society, in the case of India, society means India at a national level. One nation may not have the same ethical system as another nation. For example, India thinks it is ethical to be secular. Pakistan need not feel the same way. So ethics differ from society to society. Morals differ from individual to individual. And your values are nothing but your preferences. These are the basics that you need to know. Now, how should you learn ethics? At every point of time, whenever you are looking at any newspaper article, there will definitely be a value conflict. Identification of this value conflict is the beginning point of your ethics discussions. Clear? In this case, take a look at it. Should there be uniformity for the case of ease of admission procedures, or should we allow autonomy for college institutions so that they have uh, a world-class standard? Should we have equality, or should we strive for uniformity so that everybody feels accessible? What is your answer, guys? I'm just curious. See, ethics is about you taking a stance and then giving a reason. If you don't take a stance, what is the point of ethics then? You can't just say this is the option, this is also an option, and leave it at that. You are expected to take a stance. Your ethics is visible only when you act, not in your mind. So in the exam, if you are not taking a stance, logically, how will the examiner understand that you are indeed taking a ethical decision without your action? Your actions define your ethics. You understand? Are you following me? Now tell me, what is the answer you will give? Should we have autonomy, or should we give uniformity? Don't use any jargon. Tell me, how will you take a decision? First tell me the decision, then tell me the jargon and all. Please be a bit louder. Uniformity. Okay, why? Fine. So the stance taken by the student is, I'll go for uniformity, and the logic given is utilitarianism. So what is the philosophy of utilitarianism? Maximum good for maximum people. Now there is another approach called deontological ethics. This deontological school has a theory. You need not know the entire theory, but I will try to simplify things for you. This deontological school of ethical thought says that the process that you follow, that is means, is also important towards the ends that you are trying to meet, end objective. So when you are saying uniformity, you are compromising on quality. You are saying I will compromise on quality because it is useful. My question is, why should you compromise? Are we saying that we can't figure out a system that will factor in not just academics but also every other extracurricular activity? Can't we create a better system? Is there an objective criteria that will help me understand a better system don't you think it will make things easier for uh, colleges which are seeking autonomy as well? Are the colleges seeking autonomy just for autonomy's sake? Don't you think they will also prefer a system where things will be very easy for them and streamlined for them? So, the end point of this discussion is for you to decide how to arrive at that system. This is my thought. You are right in saying that I will use utilitarianism. That is your logic. My logic would be to go one step beyond and say, I'm not happy with autonomy just for autonomy's sake. I'm not happy with utilitarian principle because it is easy. There is a difference between doing the easy thing and the right thing. What is right according to you? If you have a stance, that should be your answer. That is how you approach every ethics issue. Clear? In every ethics issue, there will be a value conflict. Please understand this. A value conflict. If you understand what that value conflict is, you are sorted. Clear? Moving on. See, this new nuclear deal is nothing new for us. We are talking about the JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was supposed to be the nuclear deal between the P5 and Iran, and how that entire the entire narrative was derailed after Donald Trump in 2018 wanted to exit this. They just went away from the deal, and as a result, Iran started nuclear enrichment. Now, if we want to have one more nuclear deal, do not expect things to be just like how it was when JCPOA was happening, because Iran will not stop nuclear enrichment. So, the kind of a nuclear deal that we are expecting now should at least try to contain Iran's nuclearization. Okay, that is the whole funda of this article. Nothing new, nothing great to take away either. Moving on. And still we rise. So this article is actually written by a writer who is representing the voice of common people of Iran. Ever since the Great Revolution of 1979, which took away the democracy from the hands of people of Iran and put power in the hands of the Islamist powers, people of Iran continuously suffered under consecutive repressive governments, and this entire article is about how should the nature of diplomacy change. Nature of diplomacy should not just engage and take into consideration the governmental actors, the state actors. In this case, state actors mean the governments. No, state actors. You also have non-state actors. Usually this word non-state actors is used in the context of internal security in a very negative way. Non-state actors who are acting like aggressors. This is a major cause of concern in internal security. When I say non-state actors, it can include terrorist organizations, etc. But in this case, non-state actors mean civil society, common people. Do you really think common people of Pakistan, Iran, or any repressive government, or anyone who's in the middle of a conflict, do they really care about all of this? Not really. All of them want a simple, peaceful life. But the greatest tragedy of human beings is that these are the people. The most vulnerable suffer the most. And as a collective voice of this section of the people, the writer appeals to the emotions of diplomats and asks them to consider that only state-led negotiations and diplomacy is not going to change the lives of these people. Maybe we need to do something better than what we are doing to fix those issues. Okay, moving on. A multilingual classroom. This is about the language issue. A language. See, is this treated as a barrier or an instrument of growth or a medium through which growth can happen for a nation? The whole debate about language. See, this is my personal opinion which will simplify things for you. Just think about it in this direction. Whenever you're talking about a language, your cuisine, anything that has an emotional, cultural uh, element, whether it is your language, whether it is your food, whether it is your region, there is no point debating it. It's like our mother tongue, our mother's love. When you grow up, see, you must have had this conflict, right? Let's say you're someone born and raised in Hyderabad. Okay. When when you hear this word biryani, it naturally evokes an image in your mind, right? So you probably have an affinity for Hyderabadi biryani when you are, raised. Suddenly, someone from Lucknow comes up, or somebody from uh, Kolkata, or let's say Chennai, Ambur region, like wherever you will see different kinds of biryanis. Both of them who are born and raised in Hyderabad and the other person respective from Kolkata or somewhere else, they sit down and start debating. My biryani is better. No, my biryani is better. What are they essentially saying? This is my view personally. What they're essentially saying is my attachment or my memories are better than yours. How can you say that? The emotional attachment and the amount of time that I invested, or the amount of emotional bonding that I nurtured because of my growth in that region, because of my friends, my social circles. Food sometimes is not just about taste, it is also about the memories and every important aspect attached with it. Right. So when you start debating about things like this, essentially it's like saying my mother's love is better than your mother's love, or vice versa. You cannot experience that same thing in the same way. So the minute Indians, or in general the world over, start respecting that personal attachment, see, it is natural to sit and debate. The minute we understand these differences, a lot of issues will be resolved. Imagine, before getting into this article, I'm telling this story because I want you to deploy this school of thought in uniformly across all kinds of cultural elements. If you take a person, your friend who came from a different place, to a restaurant that you really like, that restaurant is serving the most authentic version of any food item that you think. Let's say sambar. When you go to Chennai and you're served sambar, they have their authenticity. But your idea of sambar is completely different. Maybe you were expecting something sweeter, tangier, or whatever maybe version. The sambar that you get is probably something different. Now, if we have an open mind that okay, this is a different variation of it, let's try this and we enjoy it, that's when you will be more accepting. India is a representation of this diversity, and conflict arises when we sit and debate whether this is right and this is wrong. We should not be doing it for learning better, respecting the difference. It's okay to have differences. It's okay to agree to disagree. With this line of thought, let's come back to this article on language. In between 0 to 6 years, children have cognitive development. Cognitive development means your brain development. Okay. So in order to have the steepest cognitive development for children, it is always better to teach them in the language that they best understand. And these are the years. See, a lot of parents these days are doing this mistake. I have personally seen this. Kids in metropolitan cities, etc., they're only taught English from 0 to 6 because there's a new theory that if we teach multiple languages to the kids, their cognitive development comes down. In fact, that is a completely wrong theory, because in this 0 to 6 years, whatever kids pick up, that's going to stay with them for a very long time. So introducing multiple languages will actually empower them to speak many more languages, and as a result they will be attached to that culture also. But if there is a mother tongue, which is the primary mode of communication, they communicate well in that language. Right. So the whole funda here is, if we want to improve our educational outcomes, our institutions should promote mother tongue based language, and CBSE is trying to reintroduce that. This is the whole point of this article, a very lengthy one. And what should the institutions be designed like if this objective of mother tongue based education really has to take off? Simple funda. Train the teachers, build the systems for that, ensure that cognitive development and outcomes are happening, monitor them quickly, so that the foundational learning, you have something called SR report, Annual Survey on Education report, by an NGO called Pratham. So this organization comes up with educational report where it found that basic foundational skills like looking at your watch and telling the time, basic numeracy of class 2, speaking a single sentence, or ability to communicate an idea, all of this are coming down. A class 8 student is not in a position to read class 2 books. Couple this with your right to education, where 6 to 14 years, not 0 to 14, 6 to 14 years, it's universally free. Every kid has the right to demand education. Government at this point of view, at this point of time, is just looking at this entire issue only from gross enrollment ratio parameter. Meaning, the government is just focused on getting kids to the school and putting them in the school. If we have to break the vicious cycle of poverty, that education that the kids learn should be logically leading to some better standard of life. If that is not happening, the next generation kids will feel that it is pointless to go to a school, I would rather go to work. And that is the danger we want to avoid. That is the point of this article. Wake up to a new world order. Simply put, India is no longer in a unipolar or a bipolar world of the Cold War era. So these two articles are arguing in two different directions. One says that if you only go for strategic autonomy and don't take the policy stance that India always stood for, we will lose our soft power diplomacy. Here, the article writer says that we are no longer in a world where it is bipolar. Soft power diplomacy and NAM, non-aligned movement, will work when there are only two blocks where you are not aligned to that. But in a world where multiple power centers are coexisting, it is pointless to have, a principled stance that is not going to benefit India, because we are not going to gain anything out of it. Simply put, realpolitik versus soft power diplomacy. These are the two articles. Okay. this is the most important page for your prelims exam. Please pay attention to these drugs. GLP-1. So you have certain hormones in your body. I'll tell you the basic funda here in a simple word. You can go back and read this article. Listen to the story. You can write it down later, but just listen to the story now. In normal situations, what will happen to our body? Let's understand. When you eat food, in our stomach, there is a hormone which will act like a switch. When your stomach is full, the switch gets switched on and sends a signal to the brain that, okay, boss, stop eating, you're already full, don't overeat. That hormone is GLP. In obese people and people who are having type 2 diabetes, type 2 diabetes. What is type 1, type 2? Let me explain. What is diabetes? Let me explain. Diabetes is a condition where the amount of glucose that is present in your body is spiking because there is a hormone called insulin which is created by pancreas. So because of any condition, the amount of insulin produced in your body is just not enough to maintain that glucose levels. Okay? If such an imbalance occurs, that kind of disease is diabetes. It's a lifestyle disease, meaning if you don't maintain a proper health lifestyle, if you overeat, overdrink, do not exercise, there is a mismatch between your input and output. That causes a load on your body and pancreas fails. If it is artificially induced just by your lifestyle, that is type 2. Type 1 diabetes, unfortunately, is a kind of a situation where the system fails, where your pancreas is just not producing enough, even when there is no problem from your lifestyle. That's an unfortunate event for which the world does not have a proper cause or proper treatment. But for type 2, you have to maintain your lifestyle. This GLP-1 drugs, there are 4 kinds of GLPs, hormones, but it is not important. Simply put, it's like a gateway which allows more glucose into your body. It's like a switch. If that damn gate is closed, your body will not accept more and more glucose. This is the funda. This kind of drugs were originally used for diabetes management. And in obese people, like I've told you, this type 2 situation will increase and pancreas is not producing either enough insulin or it is slowly failing. The beta cells, kind of cells in pancreas which produce this insulin, they are slowly dying. Because the body is getting fatter and fatter, we are eating, overeating, and we are just not taking care of our body. That is the backstory of GLP hormone, which is there in your stomach. Now, what is happening? Originally, the drug which was supposed to be used in diabetes management is now used by the cosmetic industry to ensure weight loss. There are many controversies around how this drug called Ozempic is being used by actors. The side effect of this is, of course, you will lose a lot of weight, but you will also lose muscle, which will make you look sicker. There are many controversies, and we don't know if that is true or false, but many famous celebrities like Karan Johar, Junior NTR allegedly took Ozempic. We don't know if that is true or false. But you can see the change in body after that in those people. It will probably suck out extra fat, but it is only healthy for a short period of time. If you don't maintain a healthy lifestyle, again that weight will come back. Ideally 15 to 25% of body weight is reduced by administering these drugs for certain amount of time, depending on your body weight, depending on your medical conditions. So the article is here to educate about the side effects, the need for regulatory systems, because this cannot be a long-term fix. It will have its implications on life. Abuse any drug, it will cause death. So we need to bring in better regulatory systems, because lifestyle diseases etc. are becoming very, very rampant causes of death, and people will resort to this kind of shortcut tricks if things are not fixed. So that is the context of this article. Legal dispute over Tansin's tomb. Okay, I will not explain this article in detail because it is self-explanatory, but you have to know two things. Archaeological Survey of India, there is a mandate for Archaeological Survey of India for national monuments. What is that mandate? In 2018, there is a question, mains, GS1, question number 1. Go back and have a look at this question. 2018 mains, GS1, question number 1, about how culture should be preserved. In that context, what is the role of Archaeological Survey of India? Take a look at this article. I will not be explaining this in detail. No point. Okay. Now, this article, how India added more than 3,500 kilometers to its coastline. See, again, in this news, I want you to understand what is the role of Survey of India. This is okay. This is point number 1. Under which ministry do we have Survey of India? Okay. See, whenever we are talking about sea coast, there is another organization called INCOIS. What is its role? Is it even relevant? Okay. The overall funda of this news is, how do we measure our coastline? From many decades, even throughout our childhood, we must have studied that coastline of India is somewhere around 7,500 kilometers, and so state has the longest coastline. Who gave that definition? Who gave that length? How did they measure? Did they take a scale and measure? How did they come across that measurement? And why is that measurement changing now? These are the kind of questions you need to pose, because the answers are available here. I will not give you the answer, but I want you to give because this kind of curiosity is important for you when you are trying to solve prelims questions. Is this even relevant here? No. Yes. Why? What is the concept of exclusive economic zone as per UN class? Please read this. Do this homework. What is UN class? What is the concept of exclusive economic zone? What is INCOIS? What is the role of Survey of India? Coastal regulation zone. What is this concept? How is this news relevant for this concept of coastal regulation zone? What are the things that will change? What are the things that will not change? What are the implications of this change? Please read this article. If you have any doubts, you can ask me tomorrow. Okay? Clear, everyone? That's it for today. We'll meet tomorrow.